Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Chase here at Rocky Mountain. Thank you so much for stopping in. We've got the new Sidi Crossair boot. This is new for 2024. This is the boot that Malcolm Stewart has been riding and racing in the entire 2024 season. Now, looking at the Crossair, if you're familiar with the Sidi boots, or if you know the Atajo, or if you have that, a lot of you are gonna look at this and say, that looks exactly like the Atajo. And you would be right. This thing I'm gonna say is like 90% Sidi Atajo, which I've ridden in that boot. I've done a ride review, but the big updates now with the Crossair is they've switched the materials up a little bit. I'll talk more about that. But the biggest update, and the one that I was most excited about, is the new sole. Sidi is now on this one because they're still, the Crossfire 3 is still gonna be around, which uses their SRS sole, which has been around for a while, that people love because you can change it right from your own home. But for the first time, we are now seeing Sidi use just a more traditional bonded sole, something like the Alpine Stars Tech 10 or the Fox Instinct 2.0. So it's new for Sidi, and I love it. And the big update with this new sole, which is a big improvement for me, is with the feel on the motorcycle. They did a lot of development with Malcolm Stewart on this, and I've ridden on this already. I've done a ride review with Riley Bruff from the RMX Academy. He rides a lot in the Crossfire 3, so he kind of breaks down the differences he noticed between the two. But if you want to watch that video and just get purely our riding feedback, go watch that. But today we're going to break this thing down. If you're not familiar with Sidis or just the Atajo, we're going to break this thing down and talk all about the new Crossair. But I will just say right now, get this out of the way, I'm a big fan of this boot. I'm going to be putting a lot of time in it, and I'm going to tell you why here as we go through and talk about it. So first things first, what is the kind of the main differences between the Crossair and the Crossfire 3? Well, one of the big things about the Crossair is the weight. This boot is very, very lightweight. In fact, I weighed it. It's the lightest of all premium boots that I have done any videos on here in this studio. So the Fox Instinct 2.0 was the lightest premium boot. This thing takes the cake now. Now, it does come in at a lower price than the Crossfire 3, and there's a couple reasons for that. It's still considered a premium boot. You still have factory level riders, obviously like Malcolm Stewart and Tony Cairoli, that are riding in this, but it's just a more simplified version. So if you look at it, it doesn't have near the replacement parts and as much hard plastic as a Crossfire 3, and I'll explain some of the differences to help you decide which one might be best for you towards the end of this video, but it's just a more simplified boot, which I am totally okay with. And that's also one of the ways that they do keep the weight down. Let's talk about sizing on this. So with sizing, this is one of two nitpicks that I have with the Crossair, and the sizing honestly it only really affects me and some riders. It's not gonna affect everybody. So they have European sizing. So I wear a size 9 in all of their premium boots. In the Crossair, they have a 43, which is like a 9.4. And I'm right between sizes. I've tried on a 42, which is just a little bit too small, too narrow, and then the 43 is just about a half size too long. So I just kind of fall right in no man's land. But what I can do is I can wear a little bit thicker sock, I can put a new insole in there, and it's gonna be just fine. But I still ride in the boot perfectly fine. It's not a deal breaker for me. That's the only issue that I've had as far as the sizing goes. What is nice about the Crossair though, is that as far as the footbed goes, now Sidi is a European brand. They're out of Italy. These boots are made in Europe. Quality, all that is what they are known for. That's why some people are just so dang loyal to Sidi boots, but they've also been always known to be a very narrow boot. And with the Crossfire 3, that's my complaint, is that boot around kind of the heel area, just below my ankle, and in the kind of the middle part of the foot, it's just not the best fit for me. It's too narrow, and I have a hard time riding that boot all day long. The Crossair, it's a different fit. It is much wider all the way through. It fits a little bit different in the heel area around the ankle. So if you've had issues there, if you wanted to try a Sidi boot in the past, but you just felt like they're gonna be too narrow, or if you did try one, it was too narrow, the Crossair is going to be wider, which for me, I think is really nice to have that option. Now remember, we do have our fit guarantee. If you get any boot that we sell, if it doesn't fit you right, you can send it back to some brand new unused condition. We'll give you free shipping both ways on your first exchange to make sure you get the size and the fit that is going to be best for you. When you first put this on, both Riley and I talked about this, just like the Crossfire 3, that is one thing that I will give it credit for. It holds the ankle in place really well. You feel like your ankle is very supported, very secure when you put these on. As far as the construction goes, so again, very similar to the Atajo, but all this white material that you see here, this is what they call Technomicro. and it's a synthetic leather. The reason that they use that, they say it's more durable and it's lighter than just regular leather. And again, durability is something that Sidi's always been known for. Hard plastic here on the toe box. You've got hard plastic here on the entire hinge ankle system, and then you do have some hard plastic here for impact protection on the back of the calf as well. Now with the Crossair, again, this is my second little thing that I noticed, is you notice that this upper portion here, it's pretty soft. It's got a lot of movement to it. And when Riley and I were riding this, we were thinking, I wonder if it's gonna give you really good protection if you have a crash and you have a big impact there. Now, like I said, it's pretty soft, and that is one thing that you're gonna have to consider, because the Crossfire 3 has a heck of a lot more plastic all the way around the calf area, so it's very easy to argue that that boot is going to give you better impact protection. But here's what's cool. Sidi sent me this right here. This is basically just an exoskeleton to show you what the boot looks like if you could see right through it. So all this clear material here is what's gonna be basically your Technomicro and the burn guard on the inside. But if I undo the buckles here, and when they sent me this, it kind of gave me a little rest to my mind. So on the inside, down both sides of the leg, you actually have this fiberglass composite here, just this hard material all the way down the inside of the leg. Because from the outside looking in, you might think that you just have that Technomicro material and then there's nothing else between you and the bike. Well, you actually do have that hard plastic right there as some added protection. So for me, just kind of put my mind at ease a little bit. Now on the inside, you do have a very large burn guard, which is nice. This rubber, I will say, is very grippy. It's one thing that Riley and I liked, is a lot of grip on the bike, very slim on this medial side, so gripping the motorcycle is really good. You do have some inserts right here that are also a rubber material just to help grip the bike even more. And then on right here, is a wear guard. This, like the Crossfire 3, is going to be replaceable. That is one thing too I want to talk about with this. Very low profile toe box for me. Very easy to get my foot under the shifter. And one thing I will say about these is when you talk about just flexibility and range of motion right out of the box, these are the number one. The Crossfire 3s are also good. They're pretty much right there with the Crossfire 3. I used to think that like a Fox Instinct had the most range of motion just brand new out of the box. The new Instinct 2.0 is actually a little bit stiffer than the old one. This now, to me, right brand new, the most range of motion. I mean, when you say zero break-in time, that's what these are. They are zero break-in time. As soon as Riley and I were riding, we could instantly move our ankles enough to where we could get our brake pedal just fine. We could get our shifts, non-issue. So that is not something you have to worry about with these. Now, with that, some people might think, well, if you don't have to break them in, they're not that stiff, are they gonna have good ankle support? Well, we already talked about how it hugs the ankle inside the boot really well. Couple things though, is that right here in the front, they have this little insert. So this is gonna help with compression. So for impacts, you can see it does hit that and it stops, and you will feel that when you put these on, you flex your ankles, you'll feel when it reaches that, and it just kind of helps slow that movement down. It also has a stop on the other direction to help with hyperextension as well. Now for riders that are maybe doing slower technical riding, hard enduro, where you're not worried about big impacts and you want as much range of motion as you can get, you can actually, just a couple screws, you can take that piece out, and this is also replaceable. If you do need to replace it, you can put a new one in there pretty dang easily. So I like this feature on it. As far as the hinge system goes, so it's a dual hinge on the lateral and the medial side. So you got the single pivot point right here, but what's kind of cool, kind of hard to see, but this upper pivot right here on both sides, on this side you can just kind of see it, but it's actually more of a slot. So this hinge right here is helping it just move forward and back, but when a boot flexes, one of the areas that they tend to bind up is up in this area here where it's wanting to flex. So by having this hinge here and then have it slotted, you can actually kind of see this upper piece here going up and down inside there. So you could call it a dual hinge. Again, it's just trying to get that to free up and move as best as possible. And obviously you always want to try and keep the ankle in a good move or a good location as the boot flexes. And for me, obviously with how much range of motion this boot has, you know that hinge system's doing a good job. Here in the back, you've got this piece that goes up, so that does have a limit to it for your hyperextension, and also with the hinges on both sides, those do have a limit as well. So you are getting good ankle support. Is this as good as, say, an Alpine Stars Tech 10 for impacts? No, it is not. But Hey, it's a trade-off because the Alpine Stars Tech 10 is incredibly stiff, takes a very long time to break in, and for a lot of riders might not give as much ankle movement as you're going to want, and that's what the Crossair does extremely well. All right, buckles. Same buckle design that we've seen on Sidi boots for a long time now. They work well. Is it my favorite design? No, but it always works fine. They're just a little bit short. I feel like they'd be a little bit longer. But what's nice though is that even when they're dirty, they always snap down really easily. They never get stuck. Some other boots that I have, once they get dirty, sometimes you feel like you're gonna break that thing trying to snap it down. Don't have that issue with these. These straps are kind of unique and cool. With the straps, you notice that right here, you actually have these little teeth. So when you want to adjust the strap length, if you want to move it in or out, you got to actually pop it out of those. And then that's going to allow you to move this in or out. But then what happens is that when you go and you're going to snap this down, those teeth will actually just go right back to where they are, and it locks that strap in place. I'm sure some of you have had this happen before. I know I have, where you get the strap length right where you want it, and then you go to snap it down, and it pulls the strap out just a little bit. That sucks. This is going to help prevent that from happening. So you've got 3, all replaceable by the way. Then up at the top, so the Crossfire 3 has 4 buckles versus the 3 big large Velcro panel up here at the top. If I open that up, same kind of fabric that we've been seeing Sidi use now. So it's antimicrobial, moisture wicking material on the inside. Really, I don't have any gripes about the material that they're using on the inside. And like I said, plenty of padding around the ankle area, holds it very secure. One of the differences between this and the Atajo that I mentioned earlier as far as the materials go is they are using kind of this softer mesh fabric up here at the top versus the Technomicro. This is one thing that I notice. So when it comes to the durability, being that this is just kind of a softer material, just riding from day one, I don't know what I snagged it on, but I caught this on something and it put a little tear snag on this fabric up here at the top. So for durability wise, I'll go ahead and say it. It's not gonna, in my opinion, give you as much durability as the Crossfire 3 due to just this fabric here. And again, the Crossfire 3, you've got a lot more replaceable parts. Again, you can go watch the product spotlight that I've done on that boot as well. All right, big update here. This is one I'm most excited for is the sole. So it's, I hope I'm saying this right, a Materis sole. And a cool little backstory is that when Sidi came out with this, they were here, like they were about ready to ship out to dealers and everybody. And then Sidi said, you know what, the sole compound that we're using, it's too soft. You know, obviously with Malcolm Stewart, he's very hard on soles and he was just chewing them up too quickly. So they could have just sent all those boots to market, but they said, nope, if we're gonna do this, we're doing it right. They recalled all the boots before they could go out to customers. They took them, shipped them all back, and they resold all of them. And I'm sure that was not cheap. So thank you, Sidi, for doing that. They didn't have to, but they did. So it's this new sole, and like I said, it's similar. It's the same type of sole as what we're seeing other boot companies use. And the biggest differences between this and the Crossfire 3 are these. The Crossfire 3 sole, same sole that they have on the Atajo. It's their SRS sole, which I know a lot of people love because you can replace it right from your own home. But for me, that sole is really thick. It's very, very hard and just doesn't have great feel on the foot pegs. To me, the Crossfire 3, the SRS sole, had the least amount of peg feel of all the premium boots. This is much, much better. So it's got phenomenal grip on the foot pegs. I actually like too that they don't have really deep grooves on the sole because for me, I want a rubber material that's gonna grip the foot peg well, but I still wanna be able to slide my feet around on the foot pegs and not feel like my boot is just stuck there and I can't move it. This to me is a good blend of that. The other big thing that I really like is, yes, you do have, it's still a very stiff sole. It's gotta be for a motocross boot, but the feel that I got from this sole compared to the Crossfire 3 is much, much better. I can feel just how much pressure I'm putting on my brake pedal to control that. I already talked about the toe box being nice and low profile, but it's easy to feel my shifter, easy to get that upshift. So for me, the big update with the Crossair is the sole, and it's easy to see that they did a lot of R&D with Malcolm Stewart, because I'm sure obviously for him, being at the highest level, that's what those riders want. They want great feel on the controls, and this new sole does that. So for me, that was the biggest update that I was hoping that Sidi would do. They have done it, and that's why I'm a big fan of the new Crossair. If you are looking at this and contemplating this or the Crossfire 3, here are the key points that you would want to consider. The Crossair and the Sidi and the Crossfire both have amazing flexibility. If you're just looking for ultimate performance, I would say go with the Crossair. And why I say ultimate performance, awesome range of motion, but the feel on the foot pegs is awesome. And you also just have my nice slim inside, amazing for gripping the bike, and they are incredibly lightweight. If you want more impact protection, and I would say better durability, go with the Crossfire 3. You can get that SRS sole, which again, you can replace right from your own home. You don't have to buy a sole and then take it to someone to do it. And the Crossfire 3 is going to have a lot more replaceable parts on that. If you're hard on boots, if you're hard on gear, that might be a bonus for you, but ultimately you're gonna have to decide, but that's kind of my take on it. If you do have more questions or comments, so please leave those down below. We'll get those answered. And like I said, go watch that ride review that Riley and I did. As always though, to grab a set of these, to see the colorways, click the link or head over to RockyMountainATVMC.com. We ship for free over $75. And if you want to see all cool video spotlights and ride reviews like we just did today, get subscribed to the Rocky Mountain YouTube channel. I'm Chase, and we'll see you on the trails.